And joining us now for his take in studio is Brett Wilson, chairman of Canoe Financial. Brett, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Always a pleasure, even on a rainy day.
On a rainy day and on negative news surrounding Keystone XL pipeline and also, of course, WTI moving into bear market territory. So let's talk about the energy sector here in Canada.
Frustrating times. Lack of vision, lack of leadership have gotten us to a point where we don't have export capacity. And we're chasing our tail as we try and figure out what's next for Trans Mountain. We're chasing our tail in terms of what's next with the recent shutdown of the Keystone XL pipeline. There's talk of Energy East being resurfaced. I don't know if that's real or genuine.
What do you mean?
Well, Energy East is a necessary pipeline in terms of taking Canadian crude from Western Canada. Remember, I said Canadian crude, not Alberta crude, not Calgary crude, but Canadian crude from Alberta to the West Coast, or to both the West Coast and, of course, the East Coast, displacing ideally some of the international oil that we buy from places that have no rule of law, no respect for women and children, no respect for the environment, frankly.
Saudi Arabia. Let's remind our viewers.
Pick a name.
Okay, well,
yeah,
all
absolutely.
Right. Maybe I shouldn't pick a name, but let's remind our viewers that the east coast of Canada imports oil from these nations.
Yeah, close to 1 million barrels a day, billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars a year that are being transmitted. So when people raise a fuss over the fact that we're selling, now they call it arms. They are armored vehicles. These are trucks that we're selling to the Saudi Arabians. They can buy trucks anywhere. We can buy oil anywhere. And rather than the investment community understands this, but the common people in Canada are getting excited about the fact that we're selling arms to the Saudis. We've been buying oil from the Saudis for 20, 30 years. We need to stop that. We need to buy Canadian oil for the benefit long-term energy supply of Canada.
So the issue, as Ian Dundas was pointing out, and he's been taking his company more to the United States, obviously, as we pointed out, is that we just can't get these pipelines built. So what is an energy company to do, and what does the energy sector here in Canada end up looking like?
Well, we get increasingly frustrated as Calgary stays quiet. The office space is empty. I'm told we have more empty office space in Calgary than there is office space in Vancouver. So it's a pathetic and a frustrating situation. I'm heavily involved with a company called PetroShale. We're 100% North Dakota. Run out of Calgary, 100% U.S. because we saw the opportunity. So I'm living proof that we're taking our capital and going south. And companies like Enerplus, others, Cenovus just announced a major transaction down in the U.S. The capital opportunities, because they have export, they don't seem to have anywhere near the challenges that we do in terms of infrastructure and infrastructure delays. And I'm terrified of Bill 69, just to get that on the record too.
Why?
The odds of it slowing down the process. We're going to enhance Indigenous consultation, and there are some First Nations that believe that every First Nation in Canada has the right of veto. They've said that publicly. They cannot have the right of veto. We are a democracy, so that has to be sorted out. Do we need respectful engagement, dialogue, and review with Indigenous peoples? Yes. Adding gender diversity to pipeline review is just makes no sense. I mean, what diversity are we going to stop at? Is it race? Is it age? Is it geography? Is it handicap? Is it, where do we stop in terms of thoughtful dialogue about what it takes? And then there's upstream and downstream greenhouse gas emissions. It's sheer lunacy in terms of what Bill 69 is trying to do.
What do you think then? What's your take in terms of what the federal government says they are doing in terms of trying to get our energy, our oil to international markets? I mean, they're telling us that they are going to do this, that they are going to get these pipelines built, but we haven't seen it, and it's delay again, and another delay with the Keystone XL pipeline. That wasn't even the issue. I think we kind of all thought we might actually get that one done.
Well, in
now
fact, we thought
not.
that Keystone XL was shovel-ready. Now, I haven't had the privilege of spending any time with analysts or people who are closer to the situation. I will over the next few weeks, but I believe Keystone XL has simply hit another roadblock. Hopefully, it's not terminal. Hopefully, it's not a door that can't be opened again. But in the big picture, we're still frustrated by the Liberal leadership. The Liberal lack of leadership, this thought that our 1.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions will save the planet if we hamstring our economy. Do we need to be thoughtful in terms of pollution? Do we need to be thoughtful in terms of greenhouse gas emissions? I'm not going to argue that. Absolutely yes. But do we need to do it in a way that hamstrings our economy when other countries aren't cooperating? 1,600 coal-fired power plants being built around the world. We're shutting ours down.
Right.
we think we're saving the planet. We're delusional.
Canada is less than 1% of the global carbon footprint. Less than 1%, and yet we're the ones shutting everything down.
Yep. No,
So
we're doing so
China,
to our
it's
detriment.
India, and it's the United States.
Correct. And if we could participate in the global market, we might feel a little better about ourselves for doing that. But we can't get a pipeline built because we're allowing, this false numbers, as I call it, the tanker traffic. Tanker traffic off the coast of Vancouver goes up, they say 7-fold. No, oil tankers coming in and out of the Trans Mountain go up 7-fold, from one a week to one a day. But there's thousands of vehicles and vessels that transport every day, so we're not impacting materially. But it has to be reviewed. There has to be incremental Indigenous review, and I'm hoping it's not rubber stamp. I'm hoping it's real, and I'm hoping it's fast, so that we can get ourselves moving forward.
Fast would be very optimistic, Brett.
Well, fast in government
has been
terms.
So slow.
No, it's
really.
7-8 years now that we've had this process.
Exactly.
No, it makes no sense.
Brett, from an investment perspective, we have a lot of guests who come on BNN Bloomberg and say the energy sector in Canada is undervalued. It will play catch up. This is a good time to get in. People make that argument in the States as well. Remind our viewers about your background. Your background is the energy patch. Would you step into these names? Are you stepping into these names and just buy them and just be patient? What do you do?
I have a large position, so I'm already long, and I chose to stay long. I could have traded out of it at higher prices, but that, with hindsight, would have made me look a lot smarter than I am. The real privilege and the real opportunity here is to watch what's happening in terms of the discount. We've got a massive discount because we've got oil trapped in Canada. There's a refinery problem in the U.S. We don't have all the little pipelines that we need. We certainly don't have all the railway access to markets that we need, but those are coming. There are solutions. So I'm a bull in terms of closing the gap with the international markets, but we truly need a pipeline of consequence. The great news, LNG just got approved. Liquefied natural gas is an enormous business and a benefit to the oil patch. We need crude oil.
So let's just remind our viewers, and we're going to take a short break as well and come back to you and talk about cannabis stocks and companies. But when you take a look at the price of crude oil, which is below $60 now, $59.84, we always quote this. We always quote WTI, the North American benchmark, but that's not what we get here in Canada. No. We get a much, much lower price. So don't get excited when you see this WTI number move higher or lower. What are we getting?
Well, right now we're $15 to $20 versus the global market, which should be closer to 60. So we're losing roughly $40 a day, $40 a barrel on several million barrels a day that could have better markets. So that's a major cost to everything that is Canada in terms of infrastructure, transfer payments, wealth transfer, everything.
Supporting
jobs,
the schools, supporting the hospitals.
everything related to what a government
sector.
does. Yeah. No, it's a massive loss to Canada. And that's why pipeline export capacity for pipelines, we got to get past this vocal minority, and it's a tiny minority, but very vocal, who've managed to, I call it, capture the flag in this game of controlling infrastructure development.
And speaking of which, capturing the flag, they're often not Canadians.
Well, we're heavily influenced by organizations that have been funded through Tides and Lead Now and Change.org or something like that. And of course, the Suzuki Foundation is proud of the fact that it's sponsored by the Rockefellers out of New York. Sheer lunacy. That's treason.